I mean, just to jump in there, when you talk about pain, I mean, I can imagine the pain of losing someone, the pain of maybe like missing home.
Yeah. Oh, that was homesickness. It's a terrible thing. Yeah.
I just want to dwell on this whole concept of pain.
Yeah.
And maybe I just want to take a few lines
from what he said.
Do you think that men can feel the pain of a woman?
Yes, absolutely. If you come here, there's this whole thing of can a woman write about a man, can a man write about a woman? But I think if you have a history like us, the history where where pain was inflicted, where men had to see pain inflicted on men, pain inflicted on women, women had to see pain inflicted, and I mean. To have grown up under apartheid. It was constant pain, it was constant humiliation, it was constant,
I mean, it brings to mind the Lynch theory. What's his name? I think it's Lynch, the surname is Lynch. I mean, that's the Lynch black people.
In the States,
the only way
slavery.
The only way to deal with the slave is to inflict pain on the slave, so that the slave can be able to know that you are a master. And they used to do it in the most inhumane manner. So I can imagine what pain has done to a country, to a people, to a culture,
and not just for a decade. For centuries.
Centuries. Yes. Inflicting pain.
Yes. And so you see, I at my age, and I'm a little bit older than Willie, I feel that pain of the centuries. It's as if that pain has really, it's had crippled us. And by writing and by making sculptures and that, we want to tell, our descendants about the pain. But we also want, in a way, to heal, you write, make a sculpture. It's not only about, it's about working from inside as well.
What do you think now, looking at this political climate and all that's happening around us, what do you think was achieved? Because what is amazing is that it's history, like he said, but you were envisaging something from her pain. You were reflecting something from her pain, what it must have felt like. We have a situation where the sculpture has brought other people in, is also in that situation where they are also reflecting, bouncing off their own pain, their own so-called kind of oppression. What do you think then was achieved? What was achieved by us being able to bring her back?
Bringing her back. I think back on the time when it was now known that she's coming home, the euphoria, that's this talking, and I must tell you about going to fetch her. And but there's one big thing that I must talk about, and that brings Willie and me together in this whole thing. If Willie didn't make that sculpture, my poem would never have gone onto the internet. Because that evening, after the unveiling of the sculpture, and it was a huge surprise, he didn't say anything. He just invited us, please come and recite your poems again. And there we recited poems, and there the unveiling happens. Can you imagine what an evening it was? Right? So anyway, then they put the sculpture on the website, and they asked me if the poem can go with it. It's there where the French senator saw the poem. It's there where he saw the poem, and he was moved by it. And then he wrote to me, and he wrote in incorrect English. I understood because English was my first. He said, "Dear Miss Ferrus, we were emotionally removed by your poem." And I know, Senator, Yeah. And he said to me, the poem shows how we feel emotionally and psychologically about our remains still being in Paris. And he is working out an argument to have the remains returned. Actually, a bill that he wanted to introduce, because you know why? The French made a law in 1789 that all artifacts in French museums belong to the French state. So Sarki was seen as an artifact.
The heritage.
Yes. And to change that, to bring the remains home, a law had to be made. So the senator made a bill, and he asked me if he can translate the poem into French so that he could use it as part of his argument to show how we feel to have the remains returned to South Africa. Yeah, and so
But also the amount of embarrassment that it brought, because there was an escalation of questioning these kind of museums that keep people.
Yes.
So that poem helped a lot to, in such a way that they put it in Parliament that they see themselves as this liberal community in the world.
Yeah.
And how can we be so enlightened and we got these people's bones
In our
museums.
Yeah.
So that was a powerful.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we were talking about, her coming home.
Yes.
So it was the ceremony. For me it was huge. But I have to tell you all this. Because I go around to schools and I tell the children this. And I make it as emotional as I can. Because when I'm done, there shouldn't be a dry eye in that audience. I'm not removed.
Yes, with regards to the structure that you wrote the poem, I'm not sure if it's the internet that placed it that way.
Oh,
But I think there's like there's a language.
It's a shape poem.
The shape of the poem speaks volumes.
my God.
It's a
It's a feminine figure.
Oh, so they aligned your wedding in such a way that
Oh my word, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah, it was a great, I will check it out. The skeleton stands like that, no? And at the handing over ceremony in Paris, the skeleton was in a coffin, and we from South Africa, we were allowed to look inside the coffin. And when I looked inside that coffin, the skeleton was lying like this, and it was for a moment if that skeleton was telling me, take me away.
Yeah.
With these arms like that. Yeah, that was a very moving. And the other thing is that our ambassador to France at that time, and it was my turn to recite the poem. She said to me, you must hurry because the French minister must still go somewhere. Oh my God, I didn't say anything. I just, what do you mean? He must still go somewhere. He's gonna wait. I'll make him wait. We waited for 200 years, so he will wait. And then I was, Afrikaans, we say word aspres. I was aspres. And then the woman who translated the poem into French, Anne-Sophie Barisot, she was there, she's in a wheelchair, she's got multiple sclerosis. Yeah. And then I asked her to recite 2 stanzas in French. And then I took out my harmonica and I blew a song that I wrote for Sara. Then I sang the song. And then only I recited the poem. French minister. He had to wait. I tell the children when I go to the schools. One thing I'm very proud of in my life is that I made a French minister.